Ooh.
Let's see who can pull it up first. Aw.
Are you frozen? No.
Uh-uh. All right. Good.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Ron.
And we are
Chatter of Opinion.
So today's topic,
yes,
it's a little deep.
Oh.
It's about dating an emotionally unavailable man. Yeah, you're such a dork. All right, so a definition of this is someone who doesn't respond to your emotional needs or cues.
Okay.
Okay. So, Ron Tribble.
What? They didn't say all my name on the live. All my government.
It is so nice.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, goodness. All right. So, men who are emotionally unavailable, they tend to be high.
Okay, first of all, you read the definition,
Yes.
but explain that definition.
Just somebody who is unable to give you, like, who can't express or share their feelings with you.
Okay.
Especially when you are sharing your own.
Okay.
Right? If I'm trying to tell you how I feel about you and you're unable to communicate, it makes you nervous.
No.
Look at you. You're shaking in your boots now.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Say I'm lying.
I'm not. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So can I continue now?
Continue.
All right. So they're normally high risk of long-term partners.
Why though?
Because especially females, we find emotional connections. Men don't normally need an emotional connection, but women do.
But you think that what you're saying is every woman leads by emotions. That's not correct. I don't think that's true. Like, not every woman wants to be emotionally tied to someone.
But the thing is just because you hear the word emotional, you act like we're talking about being like all the time, sharing your feelings, kumbaya.
Correct.
Exactly. That is not what we mean.
So explain that to me.
It's just being able to communicate how you feel. It's not saying you always have to have your heart on your sleeve.
Okay.
But when it's appropriate and necessary, you need to be able to communicate and share your feelings.
Okay.
And that is hard for a lot of you men.
Okay.
Say I'm lying.
I'm lying. I'm gonna say okay.
See?
No, I just think that
So
it just depends on the makeup of things. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure you'll cover it.
But
throughout
you're just thinking because I say emotionally unavailable that you're just automatically going to the far side, expecting that we're like expecting you to cry all the time and to, like I said, sing kumbaya and get in touch. It's just when it's appropriate and necessary that you're able to open up to your partner.
Yeah, but you got to understand when it comes to expectations, you know what I mean? The expectations of a man is for him to be strong, for him to be the rock of the family, for you to lean on that person. So when it comes to emotions, the man is typically not emotional to put his feelings out there because he wants to be that rock of the family.
But why can't you be a rock that shares his feelings when it's appropriate.
Because when you share your feelings, sometimes it might seem like you're soft.
That's a man thinking.
Okay, well, this is what this conversation is about.
Just because you tell me, you know what, I struggled today. I just wasn't feeling it today. That I'm going to think you're weak and soft just because you're communicating that to me.
But you may not, because that's the person that you are. But there's a lot of people that might think that the man is soft and weak because he is emotionally involved. He puts his emotions out, because it's up to you to interpret how this person is emotional. Like, oh, this guy's a little B. He's too emotional. You know what I mean? Even if they put their emotions out. If somebody's strong.
I hear you. There's an extreme on either end.
Yeah, but why should it be an extreme? If I'm an emotional person, it shouldn't be an extreme. That's just how I am. You shouldn't see me in any type of way, no matter what extent my emotions go to.
Okay, I hear you. So we're talking about dating an emotionally unavailable man. That's just the way you are. So we're talking about how, like, what the signs are, how to deal with it, the reasons behind it.
Speak on it. Let's go.
Okay. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying what to expect when dating an emotionally unavailable man.
Let's go.
Sometimes I will reference it also as EU, because that's a tongue twister of two words. Emotionally unavailable. When you keep saying it. So EU.
EU is a go-go group that sings doing the butt. Sexy. No, that wasn't your thing.
He always has to do music trivia.
But that's EU.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
All right. I'm going to skip the first one because I've said it like 3 times.
Okay.
Next one is EU men don't normally engage in real life conversations. So if I'm like, okay, what are your future goals with me? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? People who are men who are EU just tend to not want to have those conversations. They're like, ick. Keep those conversations away from me.
Okay, I don't agree with that. Maybe they just ain't ready for that type of conversation, though. You see what I'm saying? And I'm playing devil's advocate on this. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm just saying, when it comes down to it, if I don't want to engage in some of those lifelong conversations, it's not that I'm emotionally unavailable. It's that it's probably not that time to hold that conversation just yet.
Okay, but we're not talking about you specifically. We're talking about men who are emotionally unavailable.
Okay.
Don't tend to engage in those type of conversations.
All right, I can see that, because when it comes to a lifelong, when you're talking about making a lifelong commitment, sometimes it's difficult for a person that is not feelings driven to get involved in that conversation, because you have to involve. If I'm talking about lifelong with you, I have to talk about love. I have to talk about how much I care about you.
Yes,
exactly. So I could see somebody being deterred if they're not emotionally available.
Okay. Gosh, I'm already stressed.
Oh Lord, let's go.
All right. Next, they have a history of casual or casual relationships, or toxic, codependent, or unfulfilling relationships.
Explain that.
Okay, casual is because they don't want to share their feelings. They kind of just keep it casual, and so they just tend to date a lot so that they don't have to share those feelings with people. If they keep it surface level, they don't have to talk about feelings.
Well, normally, if you get into that surface level, it's not really a relationship to begin with. You know what I mean?
Right, but normally they don't let it get past that because of it.
Okay.
Hence why high risk of long-term partner. They're not gonna be a long-term partner. Now, if they are relationship people, they tend to get in more toxic relationships or ones that are unfulfilling. I'm just here to be here, but I'm not really like invested in you or your feelings, and vice versa.
Right. And nowadays, I don't understand, because it's not like I'm in the dating pool or anything, but I'd be curious on how many people, and this might be a separate podcast, date for long term now. Do people just date just to date,
Casually.
or do they date for long term? And I only say that because a lot of people that when I do like a personal podcast, they always say I met on like Tinder or a hookup site.
It's
You know what I
very
mean?
casual
Yeah. So
meetups.
then what is people's goals nowadays? So when it comes to this, as far as being in a long term relationship, I don't know if people are interested in long being in a long term relationship anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hence, they're casual. They fit you in to their lives, or they don't prioritize time with you. So it's very casual, very surface level.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And Hennessy said that is the problem. That is a problem because you never know nowadays on what people's intentions are, because it's so easy to just to hook up versus being into a committed relationship. So you don't know where this person is going.
Yeah.
You know.
I think too now compared to back then is people tend to date more people at once. So then that doesn't allow you to really get to know somebody. It's
Right.
all surface level. They're just, not to say they're afraid of, but they just tend to steer away from like getting too deep with people.
Okay.
Okay. Lack of excitement. So us women tend to like get excited for things like the movies on Friday, or this wedding we got invited to, or we're gonna have a baby, like things like that. Like they just show lack of excitement because they are just unemotionally, I keep saying that, emotionally unavailable.
Okay. But I'm, you know what, to be honest with you, I'm that person. I don't get excited about things until they happen.
And even then, he's not very excited.
Yeah, I'm not
He's not
like super
excitable.
excited. You know, I'll have.
And then he's with me, who's like, I get very excited about things even prior to an event or something that I'm excited about it, and he's very ho hum about it.
Yeah, you know, when I get there and it's good, we're having a good time. I enjoy myself, but prior to it, I don't get super excited because I know things can go wrong. You know what I mean? So if things go wrong and I'm super excited about something, then it's going to ruin my whole experience because I was looking for this type of or this level of excitement, which did not happen. So if I go into it and I'm just like, meh, then if it's good, then I'll treat it as such. But I don't go into things being super excited.
Okay. I also have to say there's levels of emotionally unavailable.
Okay.
I do have to say that because there's extreme, and there's just someone who's maybe they're willing to share their things, but it has to be certain moments.
Okay.
Or you do have to kind of entice them to share with you. Kind of tug a little bit, whereas others you have to literally like trick them into sharing feelings, right?
For those that are just now joining us, we are having a conversation today about dating a man that is emotionally unavailable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then people or guys who are EU tend to judge you when you show feelings, right? So if I'm excited about things or I get emotional about things, they call you, oh, you're too emotional, you're overreacting too much, calm down. Like they kind of try to like fizz out your excitement about things because they're not.
Well, if you think about it, if you're super emotional, and let's say I'm not, and then you find yourself
But why
in a
do I
situation.
have to be super emotional?
Well, let's just say you're emotional
that I'm sharing my feelings.
Let's take it to that point.
Okay.
If you're emotional where you're sharing your feelings, and I'm not an emotional person, when you act out in a certain way, that causes me to react to what you are reacting to, which causes me to be emotional in some way or another.
But it's normally negative.
Because I don't want to be put in that position. Not saying just me. I don't want to be put in a position where I have to be emotionally supportive in one way or
You're
another.
like,
Yeah, because then
I'm sure you hate that one time a month that you
I'm just saying it just
that
puts the
your
guy out of
girl
his
is
comfort zone. His
yeah.
comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, next one I have is he tends not to keep commitments or reciprocate efforts.
ooh, like
Right? Again, because it's surface level, very casual.
mm-hmm.
They don't really, I don't want to say they don't care about your feelings, but they don't consider your feelings. Like if something's important, say, you know what, my parents are having a 50th anniversary party. I would love for you to go. And then he just casually doesn't show up. Like, I don't think he understands the,
Well, the support of things is different than being emotional, having emotional ties to it. If your parents are having a 50th anniversary and you stress that you want the person to be there and he doesn't show up, I take that as support, not on the emotional side. He should support you.
but there's not that
regardless.
connection. So if I haven't formed a connection with you emotionally, then why would I care about supporting you?
Because
it wouldn't
support
be a high
normally,
priority.
no, I don't know if I agree with that. I think support and emotional ties is two different things. I could support you all I want to, but then once you try to wrap me into it emotionally to whatever you got to do, that's when I have, or I might have an issue. I'll support you all you want to. You want to go do this, and this. Okay, I support that. But if you want me to have a feeling about what you do, that's totally different. You understand?
Okay.
And then sometimes people, like in my case, I'm not an emotional person at all. In the past, people would think that I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Which I really did care, but I'm just not emotional about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But people that are emotionally unavailable, it just comes off as if I don't or never cared about what it is that you or we got going on, and that's really not the case.
Okay.
All right.
All right, moving on. Last one, prefers physical intimacy over emotional intimacy.
Correct.
And also may use physical to distract you from the emotional.
And I can agree with that because if I'm not emotionally involved or I'm not emotionally available, then physically, if I'm on you or I'm kissing you and I'm showing you intimacy in that level, I expect you to understand that that is my way of communicating with you or my way of showing you my emotions on how I feel about you. Because if I wasn't involved with you or I wasn't into you, then I wouldn't be on you.
I hear you, but men are very casual when it comes to physical.
Sometimes men
So,
are.
and women are emotional.
So then
right?
I'm physical with you,
Not
and then you
often,
show your emotions.
probably more common now than before. Women don't often have casual relationships because they have to emotionally be involved.
Okay.
It's not as common now. I mean, women I think are more like into the physical because they're so over trying to make that emotional connection. It's a new age, girls. But
Okay.
anyways, yeah, so with the physical though, when a woman is looking for that emotional connection, that would kind of turn me off, that you're always handsy with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I need you to share your and show your emotions with me, not show me your peckerwood.
Your peckerwood.
I'm just saying.
What is a peckerwood?
Woodpecker.
Oh my god.
Your
So
ring-a-ding-a-ling.
what?
Your member.
What does
your penis.
What does emotionally involved? Like if you were looking for somebody to be emotionally involved when it comes to you, what does that look like though? Like if you want somebody to show you their emotions, like what are you actually looking
just
for?
Sharing like your feelings and your concerns and your fears and how your day went, like just things like that. Whereas other than just you being handsy with me,
okay,
and trying to poke me.
But that's just because a person is emotionally unavailable doesn't mean that he's always trying to sleep with you.
I hear you, but I'm just saying they prefer the physical, but when a woman is looking or debating about a man based on his lack of ability to share his emotions or feelings, physical is the last thing that, like, I'm gonna definitely be paying attention to that.
Okay.
Like, you're always trying to get you some, but you
never want to talk about it. You never want to tell me how you feel.
see.
But is that the case? That's what you're saying. I'm just saying it in
Yeah, but you're making
comedic
light
way.
of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's how it is. You want me to tell you how I feel about you, not just to be on you. But a lot of
Yes.
people are not that way. A lot of people don't want to discuss how they feel because a lot of people didn't come up that way.
So, do you feel like if you're an emotionally unavailable man, that you could be with an emotionally unavailable woman
Yeah,
and it would work?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because we understand each other. Like, if you're not emotionally involved, if I'm not an emotional person and that person's not emotional,
So you're
there's
not invested in me. You're not. You don't really.
you're mixing it up.
No,
Nobody
I'm
says anything
not.
about being
Yes,
invested
they
in
keep
you.
it casual. They
That's
keep
not
it
true.
casual. What do you mean that's not true?
That's something that you wrote down
That's
here.
something that when I look, those are the things that all of the sites
No.
or the references say.
No, when you have somebody that's unavailable, two people that's emotionally unavailable, what happens is the communication as far as being available to each other emotionally comes in a different form. I don't have to tell you, just like we did the love languages.
Right.
There's some things that I can do for you to make you know that I love you or
But
I
you're not
care for
speaking
you.
my love language. If I'm asking you to share your feelings
But
for
you
me,
said two unemotional people. You're putting yourself in this category right now.
oh, I hear what
Right.
you're
You
saying.
said two
You're saying that
unemotional
too.
people understand each other in a different manner. It can work. Yeah, I think it can work. I don't think it can work if you're emotional and like I'm not. Like if you're super emotional and that's what you strive on is emotions, and I
I would
have
agree with
no
you.
emotions, that don't work. But two emotional people, unemotional
Unemotional.
people can work. Just like two emotional,
Oh,
emotional
emotionally
people.
unavailable.
Yeah,
We see you keep saying what I'm saying.
two
Unemotional.
emotional people can work. It'd be a messy, cry type, lovey type situation, but
Which
they can work.
makes Ron barf.
It-
Yeah.
but go ahead.
Okay. Reasons behind why someone may be emotionally unavailable
Mhm.
could be that that their parents are also the same way.
Right.
Right? They didn't also show affection. They didn't share their feelings, tell
Right.
each other they loved each other, things like that. So it could have just stemmed from that.
Right. And I fall into this category because me and my family, we were not emotional people at all. I know my parents loved me, they cared for me, they made sure that I was well off the whole
But
nine. My
you didn't
brothers
need
and
them to
sisters.
tell you.
Yeah, we never tell each other that we I won't say never because now we do since we're older. As far as me and my parents, but me and my brother and sister, we never told each other that we loved each other. So then coming up, when it came to emotions, I was not really an emotional person because we don't deal with emotions. We deal with situations. Here's what the situation is. Let's get it. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with emotions. I just didn't grow up that way. So then in my relationships, I was not really emotionally available because I was not used to that. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's not that I didn't care or I don't care or this, that, and the other. It's just that in life, I'm just not used to being an emotional person.
So you can confirm that
Oh
would
yeah,
be
when
a
it comes to
reason.
like parents, because my parents and stuff like that were not really emotional person people. Yeah.
Okay. Next one, they've had or experienced a dramatic life event or some sort of trauma.
Okay.
Right? They distance themselves from people, don't let people in because of something that they've experienced
Yeah.
in life.
When you put your heart on your sleeve, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and then you put your everything into someone, and not just someone, but a number of people. And the same results happen. Like they took advantage of you. They took advantage of the situation. I can understand when you get into a new situation where you finally realize what's going on, and you kind of pull back because what you were doing in the past was not successful. So you have to change your ways. A dramatic life event or trauma within your life, no matter if it comes from your
You don't have
family
to
or a
change your ways. You
situation.
just said if that's them,
Yeah,
right?
but sometimes when you go through things and you start realizing or you start thinking, let's say
Yes.
thinking that the problem was me, I put everything into this person. Even if it was the wrong person, I put everything into this person where I got to kind of fall back with
Right.
my next relationship. Then that's where you fall into that dramatic life event or
I also
trauma-
have to state that
traumatization.
some of these reasons behind why they're emotionally unavailable could be short term or long term, meaning maybe like you said, like a dramatic life event or trauma, maybe you're getting help with it or you're processing it type thing. And so it's like temporary, like for now until I can resolve these issues that I'm going through, I'm not emotionally available for you. But maybe after I have addressed these issues,
Right.
I may be able to give you what you need.
Yeah, because sometimes you got to fall back in life. You know what I mean? You go through some things and then you fall back. You evaluate yourself and then you reset and then reattack.
Right.
Right? You evaluate yourself. What did I do in this situation? And 9 times out of 10, you start thinking, you know what? I gave this person my everything. And this is what happened. So next time I get into a relationship, I'm not going to give them everything right up front. I'm not going to love hard. But eventually, after
you're kind of dipping into one of my other ones, which is just got out of a relationship. So
Very-
you are
okay.
talking about that, where you're almost using your prior experience
Right.
to reflect on where you are now, and that can either deter you from opening up to people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or it maybe once you deal with those feelings with that other person, you may be a little more open.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's dependent on that.
It's experiences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You deal with a person, and let's say you meet someone and they fall under the same category or they're following the same patterns as your past. So then you're like, you know what? I'm not going to go through this again. So I'm just going to take it easy and I'm going to try to back off a little bit versus
not
putting all
attach
your
myself.
emotions.
Yeah. Crystal made a comment and said, men in nature, I think, are not emotional people, as we females are, but he should be available to hear and listen to their emotional woman.
I would agree with you. Even though I'm not emotional, I understand that you are. So then when you're going through some things, it's my responsibility as a man, especially in a relationship, to listen to you and understand where you're coming from.
But again, sometimes when people aren't emotional themselves, they don't want to deal with your emotions.
Sometimes,
yes.
Sometimes. But like I said,
they're like, ick, get
right?
away.
Because
You're
like
too
I said,
emotional. You're over dramatic. You're too much for me.
Right. But like I said earlier, is a lot of times that is because if you're emotional and then I have to be there for you, in some point I have to show my emotions towards what you're doing as well. Like if you're going through some things and you're emotional and I'm just like, I'm trying to be there for you, but then I'm not emotional. I'm just like, meh. You know what I mean? Then you're just like, why am I even talking to you? Why am I there for you? Because you're not even showing any emotions towards my emotions.
Right.
You know
You're
what I
not
mean?
responding to my emotional needs.
You,
Hence the
yes,
definition.
you're not responding per the way I think that you should respond
and
towards
my
my
cues.
emotions.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I agree with that.
All right. Also, another short-term one would be focusing. Their focus is on other goals. So I gave Ron an example, like say someone who's like a student, maybe going through like the doctorate. What would that be called?
Program
like
or degree.
Program, right? And then they like get into the business of being a doctor. That maybe because they have that on their plate, they're just unable to give you what you need. Granted, it could be temporary. While I'm going through this, I have to keep it casual because I can't invest time and feelings into you because I need to focus. Again, that does take communication though. Like, I really like you. I like hanging out with you. I like your company. But right now I'm just unavailable.
Yeah, but
I'm not able to give you this or
right,
that.
and that comes along with priorities. Like
Mhm.
if I meet you, just like when I met you, you know what I mean. You were involved in school, and you
Yes.
had like people coming over to your house and doing this, that, and the other. You lived in an apartment, and
Okay.
people were coming over for like study groups.
Oh, yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Jamal
So
who was coming to my
right.
house.
So the priority is okay. You relate to me what you got going on.
Yes.
So I know at times you won't be emotionally or even available to me because you have higher goals. So then that falls on me to say, you know what, I either support this
Mm-hmm.
or I
I
need
can't.
more from you,
Yes.
and then I need to just move on. You see
Well,
what I'm
that
saying?
did actually happen with us. No?
No,
Yes, it did.
no,
Originally,
had nothing to do. Had to do with me working a
you
lot.
working and my uncle was dying of cancer. So I needed you there emotionally, or even the time you couldn't
No,
provide, and you were busy, and we kind of just went our own ways. We
correct.
didn't have the time to prioritize
Right,
each
because
other.
I was the type of person at that time that if I can't give you my 100%, especially being there through troubling times, then I don't need to be with you at that time.
Right.
Because you would start resenting or regretting being with me when I'm
You
not
weren't
there.
able to give, yeah.
Right, you could
No,
do
but that's what
bad
I'm
by
saying.
yourself. Yeah.
We
Mhm.
went through that the first time around, and then a year later was the best time of your life. And ever since. Moving on.
Yeah, let's
The
go.
last one for reasons behind is that they have a fear of like pain, rejection, or loss. They have a fear of that, so they just will like keep you at a distance because they're afraid of what could happen if they invest or give like something their emotion.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's nothing worse than you putting all your feelings out there and then your feelings get taken for granted.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? If because
Yeah,
you have your
exactly.
soul, you put your soul, your feelings, your whatever into a person, and then that person kind of pushes you to the side.
Hmm.
That's a pain that you don't want to
But
deal with because you don't put your feelings out there to everyone.
correct. So you're basically afraid of what the people trying to date you. You're doing to people that you're trying to date. How do I say this? You're doing to them what you're afraid to be done to you.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah. So, okay. So the question is, can it work with somebody who is emotionally unavailable?
Yes.
You think it can?
I think it can work.
I think it's highly not likely to work.
Oh, I think it can work. If you understand, and here's the thing about relationships nowadays, you have to understand the person that you are dealing with. You have to understand that I'm with an emotional person or I'm with a non-emotional person. So the way that I have to present myself or attack the situation to an unavailable person or emotionally unavailable,
Right? Told you.
emotionally unavailable
EU. Just say EU.
to an EU person
Yes.
might have to be just a little different. It comes down to your expectations.
Correct.
If I know that this person is not emotionally available to you,
yes.
I have to hit them in a different
Correct.
in a
But at
different
some
way.
point, you have to just call it quits. It's just not going to work.
I
I
don't think
need
so.
someone who's able to share their feelings with me.
Okay.
Right? So at some point, okay. So can it work? Also, yes, it could work
I think it
if the
can.
person has if the desire is there for it to work. Are you willing to work on it? Yes, that is you, but are you willing to compromise and meet me halfway on certain things?
I agree. And I think sometimes when you look at it, if a person is emotionally unavailable, they're not like that all the time. You know what I mean? I think sometimes they just back off because they're not emotionally available.
You want me to do it? Because you
Let's-
can never answer it.
I got
Oh,
this.
good job.
What up? You are on with Chatter of Opinion. Who are we talking to?
This is Pete.
What's going on, Pete? How you doing?
Hi, Pete.
Good.
All right. So the topic today is dating a man that is emotionally unavailable. Are you a guy that is emotionally unavailable?
Well, no. I'm I'm understanding. I'm a little confused here because the topic is supposed to be dating.
Yeah, like when you're with someone
Or
who's
just with someone in general.
Instead of a committed relationship, or a lot of times when men get into relationships, a dating relationship, sometimes the woman has a lot of baggage, maybe having been married, or in several long-term relationships, and she brings all that emotion baggage into the new relationship, and the male has a hard time deciphering what's his and what it was brought to the table.
Okay.
Oh, so you're saying it could be negative emotion,
It could be.
right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can see
Sometimes you
that.
just don't want to deal with that type of stuff, right?
Yeah, because you're competing with the past, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's hard to compete in the past.
Right.
It will
You're
cause
competing
me
with the past.
right, it caused me to be
And it
unemotional.
can go both ways. I mean,
Right.
the male can bring that kind of emotion, baggage to the relationship as well.
Okay.
So,
Very valid point.
Yeah. So in general, we're talking about being emotionally unavailable, no matter if it's dating or you're in a committed relationship or not. But I agree with what you're saying. Like sometimes, let's say a woman is emotional and she carries that back into the new relationship, and she expects you to cater towards the pain that she has been in
that's
her past relationship. That is correct.
That's
And
hard.
It's very
Right.
hard.
Sometimes people are like, I don't have the capacity to deal with that.
Yes.
That's true. Good point.
yeah. So anyway, that's all I wanted to communicate.
Thank
And
you.
Appreciate your program. Thank you.
Thanks
All
for
right.
calling
Thank you.
in.
You have a good night.
Bye, Pete.
You too. Bye-bye.
That was my daddy.
Yeah, but like Pete said, you know what? Sometimes you bring into some emotions. A person to bring some emotions into a new relationship and expect you to cater towards those
That's
emotions.
a good point.
Or you
Yeah.
got to try to prove how emotional you are to lift that person up.
And
And-
sometimes that can be draining.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, so then
I
you're
should
like,
not have to pay women. Listen to me.
Oh gosh.
I should not have to pay
For
your past relationships. And
Mhm.
posted
And
this
vice
before.
versa.
I agree. And I posted this before. If you are not prepared to exercise the vacancy in your heart, do not advertise that vacancy. If I cannot fulfill whatever it is that you need as being me, don't advertise that
You're
your vacancy
basically
until you're
saying
ready.
you need to start with the clean slate
Yes.
and not use your past as a reason to judge what I
correct you've been through.
could or could not do
Yeah,
prior to me doing it.
I agree. You've been through what you went through. You needed to take that time between your
And
last
heal.
relationship and me to heal.
Right.
But I should not have to pay or not have to be emotional or not have to pick you up from your emotions from your last relationship. That had nothing to do with me.
Right.
Right? If you want me to do that, then 9 times out of 10, I'm going to fall back because I didn't put you in that situation. I didn't make you feel that way. You see what I'm saying? So I agree with Pete. Don't bring that drama.
Negative,
Don't bring that drama to me, expecting me to
And
be
then
all
want
emotional
me
with
to-
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
when I didn't put you in that situation.
I really think that's a valid point. In general, I was focusing on if I'm an emotional person, but not on the negative side. But he had such a great point that emotion isn't always positive.
Yeah.
It could be negative. So
can be
great.
negative.
I think that's a great point.
I agree. I agree.
Okay, so moving on or continuing on about can it work? The last one was only if the desire is there.
Right.
And then you as the person who are dealing with the person who's EU is you have to set your expectations.
Okay.
Right? Up front. If you're not able to provide this, and that, then right, let's call it quits, or let's keep it casual, or like set the standard at that time.
But the expectations is you have to be clear on the expectations, and you have to be reasonable.
That's my next one. You have to be clear and concise in the communication.
But you have to be
reasonable,
right? If you set expectations, you can't expect me to be all emotional to you if I'm not that person. You see what I'm saying? You can't say, I need you to, put your feelings or wear your feelings on your shoulders or this, that, and the other when I'm not that person. So whatever the expectation is, it's the expectation for you. I need you to be there. When I need you, I ask you to be there. I just want your support. However you support me, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, if you need somebody to go over and above and they're not that person, maybe he's not for you.
I agree. All right. And then, unfortunately, at some point, you just have to recognize that it will not work.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta.
Now that Pete brought up that good point on both ends, sometimes it's just not going to work.
And I agree. Like sometimes if you're with an emotional person and you're not emotional, and it gets to the point where it makes you uncomfortable,
or you feel like you can't be yourself,
right? Then it's time to call it quits. Because one thing that I do disagree with is if you're an emotional person, I should not judge you or degrade you for being
who you
are or how you feel. It's my job to either be able to comfort you, to support you, or if I can't do neither one of those things, I got to be out.
Yeah.
You need to be with somebody that can support you in that way.
What's
so hard about serving girl? The way she needs is what Paul says. What's so hard about serving girls? I guess the way she needs. Sometimes guys are just sometimes guys are just stuck in their ways. They're so masculine. You know what I mean? So when you become that masculine guy and a female is trying to express herself, you try to be all
hard up.
Yeah, hard up. It's hard for a guy to be so emotional with a woman without seeming, like I said, like he's soft.
So another thing that reminded me of is sometimes us women are just never satisfied, right?
Never. Sometimes
we ask for a man who's emotionally available, but then if we get a man who's too emotional, then we're like, oh my God.
See?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, we tend to be that person. Like, yeah.
Right. Because you can sit here all day and you can cry. You'll cry over nothing.
Yeah.
But a guy sits on the couch and he starts crying. All of a sudden, you're like, what the heck is going on with this dude?
That's what I'm saying. So us women, we're never satisfied.
Maybe not.
Or some of us aren't.
Some of you aren't.
It's like pick a side.
Some guys are like that too.
Serving your girl.
Yes, that's what Paul said.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like I said, when it comes to emotions, a lot of guys, when you come up, you just think that being emotional is a sign of weakness. Like you don't want to be crying in front of your girl. You don't want to be complaining or whining or whatever, because you're supposed to be the rock of the relationship. And sometimes it's hard for guys to express themselves without looking like a bee.
No. And I think that, in my opinion, I do want a strong man, but I feel like there's appropriate times. Like read the room. There's appropriate times that the emotion is needed, wanted, and necessary.
Okay.
Or sharing. of your emotions.
Hennessy, but no one looks at a man that way. I think they do, Hennessy, when a guy is not.
I think you men think that way about yourselves, but I don't think it's always about women.
I think so. I think yeah, I think a man sees himself as being, like I said, the rock of the relationship. So if you come from work and I'm sitting here and I'm boo-hoo and I'm crocodile tearing on the couch because my job didn't go well or work didn't go well, you'd be like, this
No,
fool.
I wouldn't. If you cried every day coming home and crying on my couch,
So what's wrong with that?
I would just be like, what is going on? You need to find another job.
What?
But if you just come home because you had a hard day, why would I judge you and feel like I would not think any less of you because you had a breakdown?
Hennessy says rocks break too, though. I agree, but I'm
Hennessy,
just...
that was such a like...
I agree,
comment.
but the expectations I think that women put on men is strong.
No, you guys put that on. You have set yourself up for that expectation.
Let's go that route. We set ourselves up to be strong individuals. We can't be crocodile tearing. That's just in my opinion.
Right. That's the way you guys think. But again, women aren't going up to you as part of, okay, this is a list of the things that I need you to do as a man. Do you cry? Okay, sorry, I can't deal with you.
Yes.
That is no.
Yolanda
all right, Alma
says,
go ahead.
Yeah, yo, what's up, yo? She says, depends on the man's age and upbringing. Older men feel that way.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, because the older generations, as Ron said in a prior one, his dad said it showed weakness.
Yeah, my father, when we were talking about emotions and we were talking about not telling each other that we love each other and stuff like that, he says he was taught that if you do show emotions as a guy, that is a sign of weakness, right? Yeah. So then my training or education when it comes to emotions comes from my father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's just how it was. He taught me how to not be emotionally available.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, Alma says men don't want to be perceived as weak. Ron, you nailed it.
Right.
Interesting topic. It's part of a woman to be emotional. It goes back a long way in history, part of culture.
Right. So it's part of you as a female being emotional and me being supportive towards your emotions, but me not being emotional.
Correct. But you've never heard women say, I don't ever want to see you show emotion because I think that's weak. You've never heard a woman say that.
That's just a girl code. You don't really say that out loud. But then when you with your girls, you be like, man, he cried like a little bitch. I walked in and he was in the bathroom crying like a little bitch.
I've never experienced that.
No. Okay.
No.
Because I'm not that emotional person. I think the last time I really let one loose.
Tell him. Because I know.
When Hennessy left.
Yes, when Hennessy left the first time with her mom when she was in high school. Was she a freshman?
I don't know. She was at the apartment.
Yes, and we drove her to her mom's apartment to leave state.
Yeah.
Ron he held it together until he got in the car and he broke down.
Oh man, because Hennessy is my world. She's my road dog. She's my everything. Then when she decided to go to Arizona, I was just like, man, this is real.
And then you did cry a little on our wedding day.
Oh, that's
I have evidence.
But that's different though.
How is it different?
Because I saw you in a different light.
Oh, gotcha. I mean? No, but as far as you breaking down was when your daughter left. Yes.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Hennessy got me over here tearing up, little punk.
You did cry like a little bitch.
See what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
You didn't. I did not judge you. It broke my heart more, but I wasn't judging you for it. I'm glad that you did that because it showed some emotion. Yeah,
when you have your child and your child is your everything, you know what I mean? Yeah. That was my road dog from day one, and then she decides to be a woman and move on. Man, that just tore me up, boy. I couldn't hold it together. So yeah, that's the last time I really crocodile teared.
Yeah.
And before that, it was
Do you remember?
Savannah Smiles. That movie, Savannah Smiles, back in the day. What? Oh, she had to go back to her parents. Oh, if y'all don't know about Savannah Smiles, that's one movie I cried on. I cried on two movies. Savannah Smiles was the first one, and Ghost was the other.
Ghost?
Yeah, yeah. When he came and he was in the little light, and then he said,
he was about to go.
Yeah, it was ugly.
All right, I've never heard that. No, I feel like you did tell me that.
Yeah,
story.
so Savannah Smiles and Ghost was the only two movies I've ever cried on.
Okay. Well, now that we know that Ron is weak.
Okay,
Just
that's what you want to
kidding.
call it. That's
I'm just kidding, baby. I don't see you as weak.
Yes.
Okay, so again, just an oversight about dating or being with a emotionally unavailable man. They tend to keep it more casual. Ron's dying. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm
back.
Yeah, you're alive.
All right.
They tend to keep it more casual. They're not big with like committing to stuff. They may back out of a lot of things. They prefer physical intimacy over emotional intimacy.
Okay.
Now the reasonings behind it, quick thing, it could stem from their upbringing parents, maybe a dramatic life event or trauma. They may just be focusing on other things currently.
All right.
Maybe they had a breakup or a relationship that now they're just really kind of standoffish, or they have a fear of pain, rejection, or loss. And the final, can it work? I say not likely, but there with some work, it's a possibility.
I say it can work as long as you have the understanding that this person is, for one of these reasons, is emotionally unavailable. So if you can deal with that, the person is supportive to you, I think it can work. As long as you know what your expectations are, you know.
I agree with you. If a EU woman and a EU man get together, it could possibly work because you guys have the same expectation. But if the woman tends to be more emotional, I just don't see her staying in a relationship.
If she strives on emotions, though, if she's emotionally driven,
no, I'm not even saying that.
Right. If you strive on emotions and I'm not emotionally available to you, then I can understand it not working. But if you don't strive on emotions, like if you say something or you're going through some things and you put it out there and then I'm just like, whatever, but you're looking at me to be somewhat supportive emotionally, it's not going to work. But if you're just putting it out there and you know that I'm not emotionally available, but I'm supportive, it can work. Okay. It just depends on what your expectations are from the person that you're dealing with.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
But again, if you're emotional and the guy's not, I personally just think that at some point you have to recognize that you're probably going to want more of a connection emotionally.
Maybe.
And it possibly will not work.
LA says, Lawrence Adams, what's up, LA? He says, I believe an unemotional person needs some type of professional counseling to learn how to express themselves.
Possibly.
Okay, possibly. I can see that, LA, where you talk to someone and maybe you can understand better about yourself on why you're not that emotionally involved. So I can see you needing counseling because you yourself might have to open up your senses to understand why you're not that way.
Able to, yeah.
I agree with.
I'm gonna put, reminds me of the song Macho Man.
Oh yeah.
I want to be
a macho man. But like I said, a lot of times, guys, like when it comes to emotional stuff, you're gonna have to dig it out of me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to just freely talk about my emotions. I'll talk about the situation. I'll talk about the status, but the way that I feel about it deep down inside, you're going to have to dig it out of me because I'm not an emotional person. especially when it comes to you looking at my face and seeing what my emotions are for me to express myself. I'm just not that guy.
I agree with that. I feel because going in, I learned, not that I knew when we got together, that you were emotionally unavailable. Again, there's levels. I don't feel like Ron was like outrageously just cold statue,
Mm-hmm.
right? But again, setting the expectations. I know before we got married, it was kind of like a joke. Like people were betting on if Ron was going to cry or not, because he is not. You're very like, you don't get excited about a lot of things. That's just the way you are.
Okay.
Right. And so I didn't have an expectation of you crying at our wedding. Granted, it was awesome that you did. Very cute. I'm just saying, like, I didn't think nothing of it. To me, it was like, oh, he really has an emotion about this event right now.
Yeah, because
for you to get to that level.
and I'm very situational. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
True.
I'll take it like the wedding part of it. I've never seen you in that way
Like,
before,
yeah.
and I know how exciting and everything that you put into
That
the
day.
wedding part.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it came to like your mom passing, I didn't cry or anything
Right.
like that, because just two different
Even though
situations.
you were equally affected.
Yeah, but I'm used to death.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So
That's
it's just
true.
different. It's just
I
it's
forget
different.
about that part. You
Yeah.
were able to handle it because you deal with that often.
Yeah, so I'm used to that part of it. I'm not, you know,
Explain
I'm not
to
used
people
to
why, in case there's people watching that.
Yeah, like with me, when it comes to like death and stuff like that, with what I do for a living, I'm used
correct.
to.
He deals with a lot of death in his
accidents,
line of work.
death, this, that, and the other. I'm kind of used to it, so
I
it doesn't
could see
affect me as much as you walking down the aisle. I see death quite a bit, but I don't see somebody walking down the aisle to me on a regular
looking like a
basis.
snack.
Ew. What kind of snack is that? But I just don't see that on a regular basis, so it's a little different to me. Emotionally, though, when it comes to me, I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm an emotional person, but I just keep it bottled inside.
But is that healthy?
Yes.
You're adamant. Much.
Yeah. I'm emotional, but I don't really show it. I just keep it inside, because you expect my actions to kind of complement my emotions.
And I am an emotional person. Yes. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And I actually have hardened up.
Okay.
Since I've met him.
All right.
Right? You've hardened me up, but I am an emotional person. For some reason it works. Somehow, some way it works where I'm emotional, he's not. But we also navigated, communicated, and just kind of had a desire to try to see it from each other's perspective and meet each other halfway.
Yeah, when you go through some things or whatever and you put it out on the table, I listen to you to try to come up with a common solution to what you're going through. It's not like I just push you to the side or anything like that. But when you get emotional about either work or things like that, I don't get as emotional about that situation as you do.
And then also on my end, I set my expectations lower for you.
Well, damn.
I'm just saying, I learned to not set my expectations
on emotions, though, when it comes to me.
Correct.
Because emotions.
Let me rephrase that. I learned you. Yeah. I learned that you're not going to, that you're just not that person. But I lowered my expectation of expecting you to be a certain way, and you're not that person.
Right, because emotions don't get to me. Like, your emotions don't get to me. What is a situation? How can we fix the situation? And what do I need to do to help you?
Yeah.
But when you come, or not just you, I'm just speaking in general. If you come to me and you're crying or you're hysterical or this, that, and the other, that part of it doesn't affect me at all. You know what I mean? What affects me is, okay, I see how you feel about this, and I know you're very passionate about it. How can we get to
Past it.
yeah, like what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
What made you feel this way? And what do I have to do to make you feel better?
Yes.
But no matter if you're crying or yelling or this, that, and the
Ron's
other.
a fixer. He does like sometimes like, how do we get past this? Sometimes it's more of like, I just need you here to be like a shoulder to cry on.
And sometimes,
Yeah.
and that's a podcast that we're gonna have in the future, because I don't think guys know when I just need to listen or react or respond to something.
Yes.
You know, women are very emotional, so it's kind of confusing on when do I need to just listen and when do I need to react.
Yes.
Yes.
You've talked about that several times.
I'm just saying.
Maybe we'll do that next. Crystal says, I used to not be very emotional, but I've realized it probably was a trauma response since I was young, and all the emotions came out later. And no, it's not healthy to hold your emotions in, and I am learning healthy ways to try to express my feelings or emotions better.
Right. I can agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a progress or a process for you to go through, Crystal, for you to learn how to express yourself, especially if you're with someone that is emotional and they look at your emotions to press on, then so be it. That's what you got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a learning process on both sides.
And you've been a certain way for so long, so the person that you're with can't expect you to be emotional like overnight. You
totally.
I mean?
That's what I'm saying. The expectations, the communication, but also the desire.
Yes.
Like, I know I'm not an emotional person, but I care enough for you to try to navigate that and figure it out.
Right.
Where I can provide you what you need, but also stay true to myself.
Correct. I know you. I'm not an emotional person. I know you are an emotional person. So my job is to be there for you to make you feel comfortable, regardless of what the situation is, and for me to react to whatever your needs are.
I agree.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us today. This was, I don't want to say a fun one because it was a little like deep.
Okay.
No. But I hope you all learned something. I know in like just doing my research, I learned some stuff.
Right.
Very interesting information.
Right.
And yeah, we hope you guys continue to join us on Thursdays.
Correct.
Every Thursday we will be here. In a few weeks, though, I believe we may skip one.
We are going to skip one.
Yes. But outside of that, expect us here every Thursday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yes. One thing that I will say is when it comes to emotions, no matter if it's a man or a woman, emotions are very important. It's also a part of your mental health. Do not be afraid to express yourself emotionally, or do not be afraid to be there, no matter if you're a guy or not. Be there for somebody emotionally if that's what is warranted or needed to progress in your relationship. A lot of guys, we tend to be, like I said, hard, and we tend to miss the boat when it comes to being available for somebody that needs that emotional support. So just think of the mental health of someone. If they need you and they're emotional about it, do not run away from it. Run to it if you feel comfortable. If you need to talk to someone and whatnot, make sure that you express yourself in the way that you feel comfortable with expressing yourself. But like she said, we're here every Thursday, 6 o'clock Mountain Time.
Ron's always so deep right before we get
well,
off.
I'm just saying, because I hear a lot of people.
He is. He always so deep.
Well, so like suicide and stuff like that is very serious nowadays because people feel as though that they can't talk to or express themselves to people, and that should never be the case. And I'll put this out there. If you guys are in a situation where there's no one that you can talk to, make sure you reach out to us. We'll be more than welcome to talk to you about anything. But I may cry. Even if she does, she'll cry with you. I'll cry with you, yeah. You might not get that from me. Nope. Because I'm not an emotional person, but I got you. You know what I mean? Yeah, but totally. 6 o'clock Mountain Time, every Thursday, we will be on with a different topic. We really thank you guys for your support and all the comments that you guys
thanks for chiming in.
Yeah.
I agree.
You could be doing a lot of other things, but you decided to spend your Thursday night with us, and we really appreciate that.
Me too.
Weekend is coming up, so make sure you guys have a safe weekend.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
We'll see you later.
Peace.